The Uganda Police Force Marine Unit is actively involved in securing the country's water bodies, which are vital for transport, fishing and tourism. The unit, established in 1985, is responsible for providing and enforcing security and safety on all water bodies in Uganda. In our EcoPlus, we bring you the Deputy Operations Officer, also Zonal Commander North Victoria, Superintendent of Police Nahabwe Nelson, to enlighten us more on the Uganda Police Force Marine Unit.
Marine Unit is a unit which falls under Directorate of Operations in Uganda Police Force. It was established in 1995. By that time it was under MPPU, which they used to call Mobile Police Unit. So from there, that's when the police management saw it wise to have a marine department specifically working on water because of the continued activities which have been happening on water, continued criminality on water, and the need to safeguard the lives and property of our people on water, basically. So it has, the headquarters are here at Chigo, but we have different detaches in different lakes all over Uganda. We have detaches in Lake Victoria, we have detaches in Bunyonyi, we have a detach in Lake Albert, that is Kasese, Ntoroko, and the Rwenzori side. We have some different detaches all over Uganda. So our major role on water as marine is to make sure that we safeguard every activity that happens on water. Passengers on water, we emphasize all people who move on water to emphasize on the use of life jackets, to emphasize on the safety of the condition of the vessels they use. So like you see the traffic department on roads. So us as marine also act as traffic but on water, to make sure that all vessels which are on water are seaworthy, to make sure that all passengers who are on boats on water must always put on life jackets, to make sure that these transport boats, if you have a transport boat, it has a specific number of people they are supposed to carry. You must make sure that we don't go beyond that to avoid overloading, which normally results into capsizing and other accidents on water.
The selection process for marine officers involves several steps and criteria that ensure the best candidates are chosen for leadership within the Marine Corps.
These specialized units, there is times when there is an option of saying, is there anybody who is interested to join Marine? But at times, whether you are interested or not, if you find your deployment there, it's a must, you must train in water. You must train how to swim. Even if you are not forced, like for me, an officer, even if I'm not forced to train, but I must make sure I have some survival skills for my own safety. Survival skills it means if there is an incident on water, for example, we are in a boat now. If this boat capsized, can you swim like 2 to 3 meters maybe to hold the dock? This is what they call the dock. If, for example, an incident happened, you may not be a best swimmer, maybe you want to swim from here, from Chigo to Savara. But, or in case there is an incident on water, but somebody is throwing you a life ring, can you struggle and reach that life ring? That's what we call survival skills. So at least you must have something small that can push you or can help you to reach on an object which can save you from water, from having an incident of drowning. Even when we are moving around and sensitizing our communities, we have had some fishermen who have been on water for over 30 years, but he cannot even swim for 2 meters, imagine. So if an incident happens, even if they throw a jerrycan which can save him, he does not have capacity to struggle and reach at that jerrycan. But normally, when we have new training or new recruits, they undergo in a swimming course, not less than 6 months, continuous swimming. So from that team of swimmers, that's when we identify the divers, those ones who can go deep, even it is 20 meters down, they can go deep, maybe recover items or have anything to do with water. Yeah, so it's basically a specialized training added on the initial training of police. So for them, they come, then we take them through another training, which is for water activities. Most people fear water, but for somebody who knows how to swim, it becomes like a hobby. You find somebody is feeling good when he's in water. So the experience they share with us is how maybe somebody likes swimming, just because how somebody feels he loves the job, he loves his job in terms of. But at the same time, even if it was you, if you can swim and save a life, you feel proud in yourself. Even if nobody has given you a prize, but you feel you have saved life. So these marine staff really, they have the courage and they enjoy the job they are doing.
Operating a marine ship or boat on water requires technical knowledge for it to transit to different destinations. Marine boats and ships operate on water through a combination of buoyancy, hull design, and propulsion systems.
These boats you see here, they have what they call navigation systems. So if the navigator or the captain is going to move from Chigo to Karangara, he will insert in coordinates in the vessel, and it will give him the direct route where he's supposed to go. At the same time, these big vessels like the ships, they have straight routes. If it is coming from Port Bero, maybe to Bukasau, from Port Bero to Mombasa, they have gazetted routes. At times they put in some marks so that this is a ship route where the ship is supposed to pass. But where we have a challenge that we have stubborn fishermen. They know this is the ship route, but we find somebody has brought his boat and anchored in the way for the ship. Because we have had some kind of accidents which has happened in the result of that, where some fishermen have been knocked by the ship as a result of negligence, because they know this is the ship route. Most of them who do fishing, they know. So these navigational boats have navigation charts. But the local ones, at times for them, they use physical features. If he is operating maybe from Gaba to Karangara, he will be having some specific features he can identify along the shores. That if he knows maybe I'm going to land if I'm going to land in Kasenyi, there is a specific feature I normally see, either a tall building or a tall tree, because for them they not have this navigation kind of technology. But at the same time, we also continuously advise them. For example, if you are moving at night and you have a boat which does not have all these navigation systems, like if you see that boat there, at night it has navigation lights, which the other last one, we put on navigation lights so that in case of any incoming or foreign object, they can identify that there is an object moving here.
The marine environment is linked to the broader ecosystem, serving as a vital life support system. It regulates climate and acts as a hub for biodiversity. However, this vital resource faces immense pressure due to human activities leading to widespread species extinction, collapsing fisheries, rising sea levels, and disruption of global climate patterns.
The way to race with the environment, human activities that happen on land or on water, as a result, have a negative impact on water activities. For example, if we talk of sand mining, like I've showed you some of the machines which were impounded by NEMA, which were used to do sand mining on the lakes. And in the end process, you find they have an impact on the breeding grounds of fish, or they have an impact on the aquatic environment. We may have some incidents where maybe the spill off of oil on water may affect the breeding ground of fish, which may lead to death. Then also have activities of like maybe swamp reclamation, people who are encroaching on the swamps. In the process, you find they result into flooding, because we have had some areas on water which have been like landing sites. But if you go now, they have been submerged by water as a result of human activities such as swamp reclamation, deforestation. So for us as marine, we normally work hand in hand with environment. Of course, environment has a department, the environmental police. But any activity which needs to be on water, they must work hand in hand with us. Because at least we have some persons who have enough expertise in terms of water activities, maybe diving, swimming. Because for them, they may not be having the special training to operate on water. So work hand in hand to make sure that such kind of activities, but with the lead agents as the NEMA or environmental police. Challenges are there. Like I've told you, we have had this water levels, all water levels normally fluctuate, either depending on the climate or depending on human activities. I've told you that we have had some places on the shores here around Lake Victoria, where maybe like 10 years back, it was land, people were habiting there, even people had houses. But as a result of maybe water fluctuation, some houses were submerged. You find either it could be as a result of climate change or as a result of human activity. So human activities and climate change, they affect the water levels Yeah, and at the same time, we understand if it is the rainy season, we must expect a rise in water. Then in the same way, when we talk to environment, we also have, but this one is normally done by Ministry of Works, but it is us who enforce. We normally have checks on the vessels which they use, the condition of the vessel. Because some of the vessels, for example, if an engine is leaking, either oil or petrol is falling into water, it will have an impact on the water environment, which again will have an impact on the aquatic life, fish. So we make sure that those boats are always inspected. So Ministry of Works normally comes in hand with us to make sure that all navigation, all vessels on water are seaworthy.
Illegal fishing on water bodies in Uganda is a significant issue that has been addressed by the Uganda People's Defence Forces, UPDF, through strict enforcement standards and new reforms. The directive, issued by the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, aims to protect fish stocks and enforce sustainable fishing practices. However, the Uganda Police Force Marine Unit also works hand in hand with the Uganda People's Defence Forces whenever need arises.
As of now, there is an executive order whereby the issue of illegal fishing and immature fishing is being handled by UPDF. But it doesn't mean that if marine people are on water and they have seen maybe a boat with immature fish, you don't close an eye, because it is a collective responsibility. But we get hand in hand with them. Either you coordinate with the commanding officer within that area to make sure that that boat is put to order.
The Marine Unit faces several challenges that hinder their effectiveness in securing the country's water bodies.
The challenge as a result of, apart from being on land, in water we also have different criminal activities which happen there. We have thefts, we have robberies, then at the same time we also have the incidents of drowning cases which have been hearing, people being capsized in boats. So Marine was created to make sure that there is safety and security on water. That's why we always emphasize on the vessel, on the boats. For example, if it is a transport boat, we always emphasize on the use of life jackets. Mandatory, everybody is supposed to have a life jacket on water. As long as you are stepping in water, you are supposed to have a life jacket on you. But we have a challenge of the mindset change. We still have our people who assume that life jacket may not be helpful to them. Because we have been challenged by some fishermen as we are doing community policing. Somebody will say, Fande may have been on water for 30 years not putting on a life jacket. So how come you are telling me to put it on now? But we also tell him, you have been safe, that you have not had an incident on water. So you shouldn't assume that if you had an incident, a life jacket will not help you. So the most important thing we emphasize on is the use of life jacket. Because any accident can happen in water. But if you have a life jacket, it is to add added advantage. Even if you don't know how to swim, you can be on water maybe for 12 hours, but at least within that period of 12 hours, there is a possibility of seeing a nearby boat passing who can save your life. Then the loading, because all transport boats are supposed to have a license. They are always licensed by Ministry of Works. If you have a vessel, you will prescribe the number of passengers you intend to take to be transporting, and it will also supposed to match with the engine you have. For example, if you have an engine of maybe 15 horsepower, that means you are not supposed to carry more than 20 people, because the engine, it is the one which pushes the luggage which is on the boat. So, but by bad characters, you find somebody has an engine of 15 horsepower, supposed to carry 12 or 15 passengers, but is having 30, implying that the vessel the engine does not have the capacity to push the load you have put there. So that's what always our emphasis is on. If you have a jerrycan properly closed and you push it in water and somebody grabs it, he can never drown. You remain on water, whether it is for a full day. But that's why we are saying at least somebody should have survival skills. Because the jerrycan may be there, but can you reach on that jerrycan? But what is important is we must take life seriously. Then the condition of the boats. You have a boat, but every time water is entering. And as water enters, it is making it heavy compared to the buoyancy of the boat. There may be pollution in terms of chemicals, which needs maybe to pick a sample of water and take to the laboratory. But there are some areas where you can see physical pollution in terms of garbage disposal. But this normally happens deep in the islands. At times, in most of the islands, they don't have proper garbage disposal. So you find most of the garbage, in case it rains, or even when it has not rained, they end up in the lake, which has a lot of pollution on the waters. So those are the activities which we normally do. So we normally have continuous patrols on different parts of the lake to make sure that we curb such kind of criminal activity.
Illegal activities on lake shores in Uganda remains a challenge to National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, due to the limited manpower that limits their operation in far areas.
No, on the lake, of course, there are some areas, but NEMA is doing a lot of work to make sure that they regulate human activities along the water shores. But there are some places where you may find they have less impact. For example, if you go to those islands or deep in the lake, you may find they don't have maybe good inspection to find out that maybe whoever is putting a structure should have that limit of having the reserve, the land reserve from the lake. So it may not be 100% done. So there is a need for more inspection, more supervision to make sure that those maybe who are putting up structures can really observe that distance from the lake.
The Uganda Police Force Marine Unit has demonstrated its strength through various operational capabilities and readiness to secure the country's waterways. The unit has been actively involved in various activities, including water rescue operations, first aid response drills, anti-piracy tactics, and search and surveillance exercises.
We normally do continuous sensitization and inspection, like on big days where you expect maybe Christmas days, holidays. We normally move along all these major recreation areas, beaches especially, to make sure, first of all, emphasize the owner of the beach must have a lifesaver. By all means, they must have somebody who is on standby as a lifesaver. In case somebody gets stranded in water, it can be easily swift. Then also tell them to make sure they normally put like talking signs. If you have a deep point, at least put something like a signpost that here it is too deep. Even if there's no physical person say that don't go beyond this, but somebody can read and say, this area is very deep. So we normally make some continuous inspection and sensitization of the water users. Because you know that excitement, whereas maybe it's a Christmas holiday, everybody wants to be in water. But there are some people who go in water when they don't even know how to swim. So we normally sensitize them that in case you don't know how to swim, but at least have somebody who can swim. So we normally do that continuous sensitization and guiding and advising the beach owners. A few years to come, we see marine growing bigger, depending on the economic activities that are happening on water. Because if you have to compare maybe like 5 years back, if you take an example of maybe Gaba landing site, you might have been having like 2-3 transport boats. But if you go there maybe by now, you may find they are over 10. And in the next 5 years to come, you may find they may even be bigger. Because we have some, like Kasenyi landing site, some people have come up with what we call the water bus. Somebody comes up with a vessel which can even take more than 70 people, water bus. So we are seeing marine activities growing bigger and bigger. Our strength lies, first of all, in the manpower we have, though it's not enough, because we have, I think, 34 detaches across the country. But that's not enough. Because Lake Victoria itself, that would be maybe the detaches on Lake Victoria, but those are detaches covering the whole country. So implying that we still need more manpower. But the strengths we have, which may also not be enough, is the vessels we have. Some of the examples of the boats we have are these ones, which we use to do our day-to-day activities.